What is up, guys? It's JP Football, and we are back. That was the preseason, baby. This is the start of it. I've had like 4 videos that said that, so many videos I haven't been bothered to film, but that will no longer be the case. I'm ready now. I have a new camera phone, a new microphone, a new computer. No more excuses. It's time to work. Today will be the start of an exciting series on my channel. I'll be examining a lot of clubs in the Premier League and making season previews. I will be discussing transfers I think they could make, what type of season I see them having, and looking at their squads right now. This will be really exciting for my channel. This will be the quality content I need to keep going and keep up consistent content. This is it. This is the start of an epic journey on YouTube. All those videos in the past, they were just practice for me. With all that being said, let me get into my first season preview. Chelsea. Chelsea are an interesting one. Disappointed down the stretch in the league last year, but won the creme de la creme of club competition, the Champions League. We are blessed with one of the youngest and most talented squads in the world, along with the most talented manager and the best manager, in my opinion, in the whole of Europe. When this is being recorded, Chelsea have just under 40 players in their squad right now. That's a lot, and yet young stars like Billy Gilmore and Conor Gallagher have already been sent on loan, and Tomori and Guehi have been sold. On your screen now are a couple of bubbles. I have bubble 1. Core first team players who we should not sell under any circumstances. Next, bubble 2. Sell players who are either not good enough or will be able to raise funds for us to sign better players. Next, bubble 3. This weird category of players who were a major part of our squad that season, but I don't really think we need them. But we should probably keep. Finally, bubble 4. Fringe players who may be young, they may have been on loan for a couple of seasons and are ready to make a name at Chelsea or leave. First, let's discuss the fringe players. This is a group of talented young players that could really offer a lot to us or another team. They aren't bad players, we just haven't seen a lot of them at our club. They have not been a part of a Chelsea squad really. So many of these players are enticing prospects, but I view many of them as almost baked. Another loan season at a Premier League or top flight team with starting minutes would really prove to me that these guys are ready to go. Anyway, from this group, I would keep 2 players, Chalobah and Loftus-Cheek. I would love to keep more, but I don't see them getting any minutes. These 2 are special talents, starting with Loftus-Cheek, one of my favorite players in the whole squad. He has had such an unlucky career. He did the loan thing, then went on to start and played at world-class level under Sarri, but then did rupture his Achilles and went back to doing the loan thing last season with Fulham. I think he can really offer something solid to the squad. He is built solid. He won't be getting pushed around. He is great offensively and provides a little bit defensively. He's technically sound, and I really see he could be what Gundogan was for Man City this season, given the opportunity. Chalobah is a very young prospect, but so talented. He was great last season when he went on loan in France, and he is just such a great and physically gifted center back. He is just so great. I love him so much. He stands at 6'3", but is also so technically sound. Against Arsenal in the preseason and in his first game of this season, we saw him being able to play as that distributor, something Thiago Silva has done for us. So once Silva fades out, as he is almost 37, I would like to see Chalobah come in and take his place. Keeping him at the club this season, which I think Tuchel said he would do, would allow him to share those minutes and learn from Silva, which could be really important in his development. He has already known what it means to be starting in a top flight side. Last season, he played 24 games in League One, starting 19 of those. This season, we would see him gel with the boys, provide good injury cover, and really allow Thiago Silva to get the rest he needs to have a successful season for us. The rest of these guys are really talented as well. All these guys could really stay and provide more depth to the squad, but as I said, having about 40 players in the squad will cause a lot of issues. Learning these guys out once more for another year in the Premier League to other Premier League clubs like Crystal Palace or like a Norwich would give them more experience and give the club more film to see what they're actually capable of. I really like Ampadu, a Lewis Baker, a Dujon Sterling being able to make their way into the first team in the coming seasons, but keeping them at this club this season would mean that they wouldn't get much playing time and wouldn't develop as players. They wouldn't get to play in any of the important games, and their careers would just stagnate. So I think sending them on loan, as I said, to one of the smaller Premier League clubs, but they'd still get loads of starting minutes, would be exceptional for their careers. Next, I want to talk about the core players. The core players are the really influential players that Chelsea aren't going to be looking at selling. All these guys have played a major part to play in the 21-22 season. I had Zuma down here, but sadly he has gone to West Ham, so that sucks. He was really good at heading the ball. He was pacey, he was super strong, and he was great with Rudiger, but I wish him all the best. So he will not be a core player, but the others, everybody would expect to see in here. Pulisic, Hudson-Odoi, and Havertz are the three players I am most excited to see this season in the whole league. They're young, fast, and supremely talented, and a front three of those would destroy defenses. I really feel that this is Hudson-Odoi's season. If he is given the minutes, he is my favorite player in the whole world, but for a good reason. This preseason, we have seen him just glide past defenders time and time again, and not only that, his passing has been on, and he hasn't looked afraid to take shots. Having him will be a huge asset, and Chelsea should not sell him under any circumstances. Selling these players would really cut a lot of fat off the squad and provide funds for Chelsea to go out and get the big star players that we want them to get this summer. Probably by the time this video has come out, a lot of them are already gone, such as Zappacosta and Emerson, but I think that selling the rest of them would not only be good for their careers, but also for the whole club of Chelsea. Selling them would allow us to get the Koundés and would allow us to avoid financial fair play restrictions with the signing of Lukaku. I don't think these guys will have a big part to play if they stay at Chelsea, and they won't really do much for us at all. Selling them is what we should do for these players. Finally, we have the weird bubble. These boys do not fit into any category. They aren't fringe players, they aren't core players, and they aren't necessarily sell players either. You may argue Jorginho is an absolute core player after just having won UCL Player of the Season, but I don't think he's all that. Having a double pivot of Kante and Kovacic works very, very well. Jorginho would fetch a hefty sum, but he might not be seen as a sell player either, as if one of these two get injured, Gallagher and Gilmore are gone, so he would fill in. We just signed Ziyech last summer, but we have some great wingers, and I don't see where he fits in. He is talented, and I don't want to sell him, but I also don't want him taking minutes away from youngsters. I had Abraham down on this list. He was so good, and that was proven with 2 assists in his first game for Rome. Lukaku looked dominant, but that buyback clause Abraham has in his contract to be an interesting prospect in the future. The others I see as valuable bench and depth options, but definitely not core players. Okay, that is the squad that Chelsea currently have. Now I want to discuss some transfers that could really elevate the talent level. The first is Jules Koundé. Currently we are being linked heavily with him. 30 million plus Zuma would be quite a fair price, but 70 million, that's alright for such a talented center back. I think that with the sale of Zuma to West Ham, most of the money is already covered, and the minutes are freed up for Koundé. Now let's talk about what he would do for Chelsea defense. Koundé is a complete defender. He is tactically versatile and fits into most formations. If Tuchel wants to play his preferred back three, Koundé is exceptional there. And if he wants to play a back four, he's really good there as well. Going to FBref gives us a look at what type of player Koundé is. We see he is a superb passer of the ball, something Tuchel loves and needs in his center backs. His long passing is only in that mediocre range, but his shorter passing is in the top 15% in every single category. Not just that, but progressive passes are so good. He is top 13% in that and top 11% in passes into the final third. Looking at his defensive numbers, some might question them, but looking deeper into the numbers, it paints a different picture. He's in the upper echelon for pressures and being dribbled past. He's willing to get his body in the way of shots saved as well. These stats show a defender who is brilliant at progressive passing, someone who doesn't attempt many tackles but is rarely bested by another attacker. Signing him will give Chelsea a top 5 defensive talent of this generation, making this signing almost a necessity. People have called him the next Van Dijk because of how similar their games are. So if that is any indication of what he will be, we need to get this guy as soon as possible. The next player is Declan Rice. N'Golo Kante is the best defensive midfielder in the world right now, but he is on the wrong side of 30. As the main defensive presence, he is so important to Chelsea, and getting a replacement for him is absolutely necessary for our success. Only a couple miles away in West Ham, Chelsea might have their man, who is the informed Declan Rice. Rice used to play for Chelsea but was released for being too small. Now at 22 years old, he is the most important player for West Ham and is also being linked to all the top clubs for a big money move. As an England fan that hasn't watched a ton of West Ham, I saw Rice display some serious ability against Italy. His stats aren't eye-popping, but in game he is just so effective. Look at Man United, they play a double pivot, but Rice as just a single player can play that role. He is two-footed, he passes well, he links the attack to the defense. Whenever a defender pushes forward, he drops back and supports the defense. He's great in the air and he's great in and out of possession. What makes Rice so good is his adaptability. Whatever situation, what formation he is, he looks comfortable. I see Rice as an addition we make in the future, or we do an agreement to buy and then loan him back. N'Golo Kante is still in his prime, so buying Rice by now would cause a little bit of a headache in the double pivot, but Chelsea should keep their eyes on Rice as a serious consideration for the next great defensive midfielder at Chelsea FC. Eduardo Camavinga may be a solid option for Chelsea. Not talking about play style, his contract is up soon, so he will be much cheaper than he should be. He just turned 18 years old, so he still has so much more growing to do. Now let's talk about what actually matters, how he plays. He's not a Declan Rice, he is much more progressive and would probably slide next to a true CDM, not be that CDM, so he's more of a luxury player than Rice. But he's one of the most talented youngsters out there. Since 17, he's been starting for a top flight side and been making Champions League appearances. He is a class deep line playmaker and defender. He is top 5% for tackles and tackles won, top 20% for pressures, and he barely makes any errors leading to goal. With passing, he is very one-sided, but that can be worked on. He is the best at passing to the left, but the worst at passing to the right. He has a pass completion rate of 90% as well as an 86% pass completion for long balls, revealing he is deadly accurate at picking people out. What would he offer to Chelsea? If we were to sell Jorginho, we would bring in a replacement with more talent who is 10 years younger. It might even be cheaper. He does have worse passing, but Chelsea do see a lot more of the ball. Picking him up would be savvy business and would give Chelsea a player who could be our fulcrum for 15 plus years. Chelsea were 10 goals below expected goals, and Timo Werner missed 18 big chances. They want a new striker to fix that. Although I think Tammy could have been the man and Braha could have been the man, Tuchel and the club did not. They have gone on and signed Lukaku, which was a deal I thought to have gone off the rails. What we're getting with Lukaku is someone that is excellent. We're getting someone who easily gets into the right positions. We're going to get someone who scored 28 goals last season with an XG of 25. He is pretty quick and super strong. He can make back to goal or make through runs. He can drop deep and act as a facilitator. He is a do-it-all striker who doesn't do much pressing, but with Mount, he is pretty much a dream fit. He has boosted Chelsea's title push massively, not only adding world-class ability, but allowing much more rotation for this heavily stacked Chelsea squad. With Lukaku, Chelsea have a serious upgrade at the striker position, a position they desperately needed a deadly finisher at, and that's what they've got in Lukaku. Okay, this is one of my favorite parts, talking about the potential lineups Chelsea could use. Because we have so many players, we can make many different lineups. Tuchel's favorite formation is an evolved version of the 3-4-3. He has 3 center backs and his wing backs, his 2 DMs, and he has Mount who plays as an 8 hybrid and a 10 role, and he has an almost striker off the right and off the shoulder of the main striker, who is usually Werner. We could go with his favorite formation with his favorite personnel from last season, which is this. This obviously worked well for Chelsea, but it left us lacking for goals and slowed down the game a bit. If we subbed in Lukaku, he would bring loads of goals. Ziyech can be switched in here, as he has been excellent form throughout this preseason and is about to return from injury. I would like to see Chalobah given minutes as a center back. I'm really excited to see what Chalobah can do in the Premier League. Okay, so this formation is good, but with the amount of attacking talent we have, I think we can do more by using a 4-2-3-1. This, in my opinion, is the best lineup Chelsea can put out on the field. Just look at it. Isn't it beautiful? 2 beastly center backs. They're both rapid, strong, and are both great passers of the ball, particularly Chalobah. The standard fullbacks, Chilwell and James, will be doing a little more defending and less attacking, but they are great defenders and still will be able to push up the pitch and get involved. The front 3 of Pulisic, Hudson-Odoi, and Lukaku would be the best in Europe, no doubt. Pulisic and Hudson-Odoi are 2 of the most talented kids I have seen, along with men like Lukaku, Bolingoli. It's game over, absolutely no questions about it. With Havertz behind them, it's scary. I know Mount is not in. This might offset the balance and we would have to see a Havertz or a winger drop out, but this team look so freaking fun. As you may have seen, Chelsea have a bit of a problem. Tuchel would play the 3-4-3. With this, I was just giving my preferences. He will play the formation and he has so much talent, it will be hard to fit everyone in. And in my opinion, someone has to go. And I'm about to show you why why this is the case. So he will play a 3-4-3. Mendy will be in goal. Then he has 6 center backs to play in just 3 positions. You might even bring in Koundé, and that would mean 7. But even though it's tight here, that will not be the biggest problem in the squad. He will play James and Chilwell, and Alonso will rotate minutes. 3 DMs, Kante, Kovacic, and Jorginho good for resting. Then the front 3. Mount and Lukaku will start. So that leaves 1 position left. In this position, Werner, Havertz, Pulisic, Ziyech, Hudson-Odoi can all play here. That's 5 players for just 1 position, which just won't work. I like all these guys, but there just simply isn't enough minutes for all these guys. So in my opinion, I think Werner or Ziyech need to be sold. The other guys are just way too young to sell, and Chelsea would immediately regret it when they start succeeding in the other leagues. At this moment in time, 5 players in 1 position is way too much. I know some of them can play in the other forward positions, but Tuchel isn't really going to rotate Mount and Lukaku much, unless it's like a poor Carabao Cup game, which doesn't even matter. Which, in that case, he might even probably play Tino Anjorin or someone like that. So I really do think that Chelsea needs to sell someone in this position, and maybe even in other positions such as the center back role. For the final part of the video, I'll be trying to predict Chelsea's season. They have the potential to go 38-0, win all the trophies, and run to the Champions League with the squad, but they won't. I see Chelsea finishing with 95 plus points. With Lukaku, he will win his games, and our defense will prevent us from losing games. Chelsea will also win the Champions League, but if they have to play both City and PSG, I think they will lose. They may also lose to PSG because they are assembling a god squad. FA and Carabao Cups may also be wins. City won't really focus on these trophies, and other clubs will, but a B-side from Chelsea can probably beat most teams in the whole of England. So, I do think that Chelsea will be champions of England and champions of Europe. I know this might just seem like lofty expectations of a delirious and delusional Chelsea fan, but hey, that might be what I am. You see this shirt? I think Chelsea will win the league this year. That was my first video I've made in this modern series of videos. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know it seemed a bit like not fluid at all. I'm going to work on that. This is just the first video. I'm going to try and edit it so it makes it look better. So please subscribe, share this video with all your friends, like, comment any tips and suggestions, and stay tuned for tomorrow when I'm going to be releasing my Premier League predictions. I know it's a little bit late, but I have written most of these scripts before the season actually started. I just haven't been able to record with school and all that stuff, so now I'm starting to record. I know a couple of these first scripts will be a little bit old and outdated, but I still thought they were good ideas, so I wanted to make them. So please enjoy all my content and stick with me for this great epic journey. It's been JB Football. See you later. Peace.